today's been? It's raining again. Thankfully, there was a lull for about 5 hours during which I could walk 15 kilometers today. So that's what I'm doing over these holidays, while I'm also challenging myself, like I did with my students, to read in a foreign language, French, which is my fourth most spoken language according to the number of years spent in my life. And today I am reading Histoire de l'enseignement en France, so the history of teaching in France. It goes back all the way to the Gaul-Roman, Gaulo-Romaine, the time of the Gauls, right through history, so it's pretty amazing. Now, I first came to France in 1999 and have been teaching in different ways and shapes and forms in this beloved country of the origin of my ancestors 12 generations ago, before they left France after the revocation of the Edict of Nantes in 1685 and made their way across the oceans to the southernmost tip of Africa, where two brothers, Guillaume and François du Toit, arrived in 1686 on a boat called Freedom, Vrijheid in Dutch. And so my du Toit, or de Toit as we say in South African English or in Afrikaans, so my family started. 12 generations later, the first du Toits were born again on French soil. My oldest two children are French citizens. So yeah, there's a little bit of information about Monsieur du Toit. And yesterday I was going through the whole history of my time in Normandy. My first half of time in France was spent on the Côte d'Azur, or the French Riviera, between Nice and Monaco. And the last half has been spent here in Normandy. When I arrived in Normandy, it was about the same time that this nifty little app was launched called Instagram. When I got on Instagram, I discovered also at the same time basic editing apps like Camera Plus, which revolutionized my concept of visual communication, and I started posting photos. And soon, at the beginning of 2011, my photos went popular on Instagram, and I got so excited because I understood it was a very basic algorithm at that stage. You got 20 likes within the first 20 minutes and your photo popped. And so I would take photos of the beautiful French scenery, the Eiffel Tower, Le Mont Saint-Michel, Étretat, Honfleur, the birthplace of Impressionism, and the photos would just pop all day long. And so eventually, according to some statistical analyses, portals, my photos were the most popular globally on Instagram, and I used that popularity in 2012, 39 weeks of topping the charts on Instagram popular page stats. I used that to launch an art movement called Electronic Social Art by founding an electronic social art forum association in Trouville-sur-Mer and getting members from all over the world who very basically edited one of my photos per day. And we did that from the 23rd of December 2011 until I stopped the activity in September of 2018, in fact, when the day that I read that the founders of Instagram had stepped out of Facebook, the new owner, and were no longer involved with Instagram. So for me, that was kind of like a moment to stop the whole activity on Instagram. I was dealing with issues also, and it's interesting because the last couple of days I've been thinking about this a lot, and I actually discovered that one of my domain names linked to this art movement that I'd lost about 4 years ago, and a cyber squatter had registered the name and taken it over and wanted to have thousands of dollars for it. So I just left it and I got a different extension on the domain name and just continued back then with that. But the problem was that linked to that website address, I had a number of email addresses that were used for my artist portfolios and activities for the association. So what happened was yesterday I registered that original domain again, and I could get those emails back and get back into action on some of those old accounts, which also means that for the first time in as many years, since 3 to 4 years, I read some of the posts, and one of the posts spoke volumes to me. In fact, I'd forgotten that I'd written down my teaching methodology. Even again today, somebody asked me what certificates I have in teaching English, and I have my own teaching methodology that I've developed over years of experience. I do have an honors degree, which is in French a bac plus 4, so the first step towards a master's degree. It's in theology, but my diplomas have been accepted by the Ministry of Education, and thus I'm an English teacher today in France. It's amazing. But back to today's theme, which is a post I made on one of these accounts that I've resurrected, and it's called Electronic Social Artist. It's a little account that I use just to toy with the concept of electronic social art myself, in using it as a tool for education, which over the last few days I have had the thought to bring all of my tools back into action, open up that old toolbox again, and start using electronic social art to make art history happen and to teach peace, which is the theme of today's conversational video, is what I wrote on the 25th of October 2014. Exactly 6 years ago. It's a visual that I created for the daily Aplatham activity on that specific day, on the 25th of October 2014. Whew, how the time has flown. Permit me to read the caption to this image. Teach peace. For today's JV quote card, I'm sharing the philosophical foundation, the cornerstone of my JVDT methodology of learning. Successful teaching and learning is founded on, grows on, and leads to peace. Etymologically, the word peace comes from Old French paix, signifying peace, reconciliation, silence, permission. As with modern French paix, the Latin root origin is pax, denoting compact, agreement, treaty of peace, tranquility, the absence of war. The Proto-Indo-European root pag or pak means to fasten, and derived from it are words like pacisti, to covenant or agree, as in a pact. My source for this is the Etymological Online Dictionary, etymonline.com. Learning is assimilating information, processing it with understanding so that it may then be applied. And here I write those 3 cornerstone words that we've been referring to every day of our discussion here on this channel. Information, integration, application. This JV quote card is a visual representation of how letters, thoughts, and words can come in agreement to express concepts to then be communicated to, integrated by, and replicated in the next generation. Learning takes place in a tranquil, respectful environment where objections and obstructions are dealt with, and where there is agreement, peace, and respect established. This allows for conveying an integration of information capital. Distractions become obstructions to learning, and agreement, focus, eye contact, etc. has to be regained. Otherwise, learning suffers. Teaching is communicating and cultivating peace. Learning is a pact between teacher and student. It's a process that allows the student to come to terms with life literally. Mutual respect expressed is peace impressed. Mutual respect expressed is peace impressed. The teacher should always teach peace. The teacher should always teach peace. You know, for me it's significant this evening that we learned that there are two major categories now of frontline workers, and these are our medical staff and our teachers. And it's in a time as tumultuous and as difficult as this that it's a privilege and an honor to be able to stand on the front line and to be teachers of peace, makers of peace, bringers of peace. And that is my wish also this evening for you. Peace unto you. In your heart, in your home, in and around you. In the roots of your being and in the context of your life. May there be peace.